You're invited to Australia's only fitness and recreation industry technology summit in Sydney on July the 21st and 22nd. This is an amazing summit and it will have 4 keynote presentations, 3 TED Talk style presentations, a couple of panels and 2 workshops, plus the gala dinner with the first ever industry awards for technology and another keynote from the inspiring Amanda Stevens called High Tech, High Touch. You can register now at fitnessindustrytechsummit.com.au. That's fitnessindustrytechsummit.com.au. And I'm excited today to introduce you to, and the whole fitness industry in Australia, to Margaret Ornsby. Now, when I looked for Australia's leading SEO Google expert, Margaret, from more customers, more sales, was the top of the organic listing. Now, that was just a good enough reference for me to dive into her website. And on her website, I found that in 2016, Margaret was invited to become one of an elite group of people in the world who then achieved the product expert status, formerly called the top contributor for the Google My Business product. Now, this is an honor awarded by Google in recognition for the expertise and dedication to helping people around the world with their business listings. She is the only Australian to have this qualification. So drop the mic. We had our expert for the Tech Summit. And welcome, Margaret, as we're going to talk about a little bit about organic SEO and a little bit about Google My Business. It's great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Gosh, what an introduction.
Absolutely no pressure at all moving forward.
No, not at all.
Now, we do have you down for a 90-minute workshop, and we're going to try to summarize that in just 3 or 4 minutes today. It's a very practical session where we're going to have people looking at their Google My Business listing, as well as a little bit of SEO. And as an added bonus, we're going to talk a little bit about cybersecurity. First up, I want to ask you something. How important is organic SEO these days?
Gosh, very. It's particularly important for businesses that don't have a lot of budget to spend on digital advertising, but still need an online presence. And SEO in general is one of those pay for it and get paid back forever. Whereas with advertising, when you turn off the spending, the tap of the revenue turns off from advertising. So a good solid SEO campaign and a good solid website will serve you well for years to come.
How many people go beyond page 1 on Google these days?
Next question.
I mean, does anybody go to page 2 or page 3?
Look, they do, but when people are looking for a business like a gym or a personal trainer, they're not likely to unless they have a really compelling reason to do. And that might be they know the individual person, or they know of a particular technique that is somewhat obscure, or there's a particular park that they want to go to that they've driven past and they've seen a personal trainer. And so they might be searching for something that isn't necessarily directly related to that brand of the person or the organization that has the brand for the personal training or for the gym. So there are odd instances where it happens. There are also instances where if there's a brand confusion, let's say Google isn't exactly clear that ABC performance training is different to ABC training for performance. And the algorithm can't make up its mind or isn't quite sure what the searcher is looking for. In those sorts of instances where there isn't a distinct clarity, and again, a good SEO campaign can help with that, then people may go on, but the vast majority of people don't go past page 1. And I can come up with the actual statistics if I need to for the presentation, but it's not good. Let's just put it that way. It's not great. I don't want to be going for a 1% to try to run my business.
And so if we do, if somebody does Google search the name of ABC performance training or something like that, on the left-hand side of the Google will be the organic search, and on the right-hand side, if they have a Google My Business page, that should pop up there, shouldn't it?
Exactly. So that panel over on the right is what's called the knowledge panel. And it's a conglomeration of information that Google knows about a particular business when you're looking for it by its existing brand name, or in some instances by the owner's name. So again, a lot of that comes down to the promotion and the campaigning that's gone forward, the reputation. And even if a business has been renamed, Google will know that ABC Performance Training used to be called ABC PT. And it will pull that information and present that there on the panel. So in many ways, that product is in large part the Google My Business product. In many ways, that becomes the first introduction people have to a business. It's almost like it's replacing your own website's homepage. So it's really important to get that information right. Remember, it pulls in information from review sites. It pulls information from your own website. It pulls in information that consumers can contribute. And I've seen situations, not in this particular industry, but in other industries, where someone decided to spam all their competitors' listings with photos of their own brand name and their own phone number in that Google My Business. And because Google accepts information from not just the business owner, but anyone that wants to contribute to a business, it's an easy attack vector on that particular business. So that little bit of information that's there on the right is so much more important than a lot of people even think it could possibly be for their business. There's a nice section in there as well for Q&A, for questions and answers. Some consumers think that that's a review place. It's not. Some people think it's an instant chat. It's not, but it is a good place if someone's doing a search for questions like, do I need to wear a mask at this gym? If Google knows that information because you've put it in on your Google My Business listing, Google may just give them the answer right then and there without them having to really do a lot of searching for it. And that's the whole idea behind the product, is give people the information that they're after, get them quickly to where they want to go. And it's not out of benevolence to the business owners. And in some ways, there are people that argue and say, well, I want them coming to my website. By gum, I paid for that. Why can't I get the most out of it? And at the end of the day, we have to remember it's Google's platform. They make the rules. It's up to us to try to use those rules to our advantage. And so having a good Google My Business presence makes an enormous difference for a business, for local businesses and for local service providers.
So the example you just gave there about the masks, I mean, that's relevant this week. It may not be relevant last week. It may not be relevant in a month. I would suggest most small business owners set and forget with their Google My Business page.
You would be right.
In our workshop at the summit, will you be going through what, I guess, more dynamic things people could be putting up on their Google My Business page?
I sure will. I'll be explaining to people what the fundamentals are that you need to have a healthy Google My Business listing. And one of the things that's really important to understand about the Google My Business platform is that little information panel that's there when it comes up. You don't even have to have a website to have that information come up. So you can give Google directly from your phone or from your desktop 99% of the information that you really need to have displayed. And it can be simple as Google Posts, which is similar to a short-term blog or short-form blog kind of thing. And think of Twitter combined with Google. Think of, just it's a short messaging, but highly prominent for that particular period of time, messaging that can go out. So if you need to put masks in place for a particular week and you need that notice to stay up there, that's one way of informing your customers and potential customers that, yep, masks are applicable this week, but when it's not relevant, you can take that post down, take it out of the database, do all that sort of stuff.
Google would probably be a very complicated algorithm in order for people to try to hack, for want of a better description. So for people to get their Google, I guess their best Google business practices, they've got to have Google My Business, but then they've also got to have a bit of SEO in there as well.
Yeah.
Can you, in the workshop, will you be touching at all on organic SEO, giving any tips on that?
Yeah, so there'll be a talk after mine that will probably pull all the individual pieces together, but it's important to understand that nothing on the internet exists in isolation. So your website,
Can I just stop you there? That is a little golden nugget. Nothing on the internet sits in isolation. That's beautiful.
yeah. And one of the things that I'm going to try to, or one of the things that I'm not going to try to, I will explain is how the different pieces pull together. So the Google My Business is its own product in Google's eyes, and it has its own specific algorithm or method for computing who's the most important or who's the most relevant to answer this customer's query. Your website operates off of both SEO and local SEO. And again, those are two different algorithms. They're very similar, but they're different. So I'll be covering those aspects, how they tie together, how they support each other, and how a ton of effort in one direction isn't necessarily going to pay off for all the others, but it should pay off if it's done right in that one direction. I'll also cover a little bit of the most common pitfalls that I see, the most common hashtag fails that I see in websites that are made for local businesses and in the Google My Business listings. So I'll give people some tools to look at to help analyze whether or not they're doing well. And they'll all be free online. So I'm not asking anybody to sign up for any massive expense thing. There'll be things they can look at themselves. And I'll be highlighting and providing a checklist of the sorts of things they want to check on their own sites and on their own Google listings.
I can tell you that the fitness industry, owners and managers in the fitness industry love checklists. So that is going to be a great asset to attending this workshop. I'm really excited this year, Margaret, to have you, because the feedback we got from when we ran the Tech Summit previously was there was lots of theory, lots of really interesting things, but turning all of that into something practical was kind of where people failed. So I think you're having a workshop will allow people to actually implement some of the ideas. I mean, that's got to be our goal with the workshop, hasn't it?
Yeah, there is a limit to how much our brains can absorb, and I think most people will know from their own personal experience that they learn best by doing. So I will cover theory, but I will also ask people, and there's always a risk when you ask people to dive into their phones and in their laptops, but in doing so, I'm wanting to give people a chance to compare the theory with the reality and figure out, hang on, do I need to address this? And if it's more complicated than what they want to deal with or more time consuming than what they want to deal with right then and there, they can still keep moving along with the presentation and make a note to themselves, okay, now I understand what that comment means and what it means to my business. I'll make a note and I'll come back and I'll deal with it later. And my intention is to give everyone enough information to be able to lift all of their profiles by themselves, to be able and manage that Google My Business listing and understand the impact of their website on their local presence and their findability. And I know findability isn't a word, but it still works. You know what I mean?
No, it's a word. I like it. So everybody that's watching, Margaret's workshop alone is worth your registration to attend the only tech summit in Australia. I can hardly wait, Margaret, and you can register now for the entire event at fitnessindustrytechsummit.com.au. That's fitnessindustrytechsummit.com.au. And a reminder that this really is the only event in 2021 that focuses on improving your business efficiencies, logistics, communication, and community, all through technology. So no matter the size or the type of fitness business you have, you're going to benefit. So we look forward to seeing you on the 21st and the 22nd of July in Sydney. Again, that website, fitnessindustrytechsummit.com.au. Thanks, Margaret. See you in